Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Walks on Wall Street. Today is August 30th. It is a Wednesday and it's about 9 o'clock at night. Now, it is a beautiful night out here in New York City, but it is a little bit windy. I would like to warn you, so if you hear any wind noise in the microphone, just know that the wind is really blowing tonight. We have a beautiful view all the way to the Hudson Yards. You could actually see the building with the edge, but you could also see a lot of the ferries and the boats that are coming by as well. Now, today was a very important day on the street, obviously, because Salesforce reported earnings. That's right. Mark Benioff's company, ticker symbol CRM, did report earnings today. We'll do a quick earnings rundown right now. They did beat on both the top and the bottom line. Revenue came in at about $8.6 billion. Analysts on Wall Street were expecting about $8.53 billion. So there was a pretty nice beat on the top line. For the bottom line, EPS, that also beat in a pretty big way. Earnings per share came in at $2.12 versus the analyst's estimate of $1.90. Now, operating margins expanded much more than expected. Adjusted operating margin coming in at 31.6% versus the 28.2% that was estimated. If we go to free cash flow, $630 million of free cash flow for Salesforce. That stands versus the $445.1 million that was estimated. So pretty decent beat. Right? Salesforce fiscal second quarter revenue beat by 11% year over year, or an 11% year over year jump, which is pretty good. Another reason why I should say Salesforce is in the news. I'm not sure if anybody has seen this, so I think we'll talk about it tonight because we've been discussing San Francisco a lot on the channel. Obviously, the city over the last couple of years has fallen on some hard times. There's been a very big uptick in crime, very big uptick in homelessness, in drugs, you name it. So much so that one of the largest employers in San Francisco, a Salesforce, a San Francisco native being Salesforce, they are warning or threatening that due to the uptick in crime, homelessness, and the drug situation in San Francisco, this may be the last year that their massive conference, Dreamforce, is actually going to be held in San Francisco. Interesting dichotomy we have there. Now, we've been seeing a lot of corporate CEOs put pressure on governments. It's not just in San Francisco, so I don't want it to seem like I'm picking on San Francisco, because I'm not. I'm just covering the news. This has actually happened in New York City as well. Some major Wall Street CEOs, particularly Jamie Dimon, is actually starting to put pressure not only on New York City Mayor Eric Adams, but the President of the United States, Joe Biden, about this migrant crisis. As we covered a little bit yesterday on the live stream, there's been over 100,000, as of now, migrants that have descended on New York City. Now, the problem is we do not have the infrastructure to support that. We do not have the shelter to support that, and it has the city scrambling. Not only New York City Mayor Eric Adams, but the governor of the state, Kathy Hochul, as well. They're actually clashing and sort of butting heads here on just figuring out the right solution to this problem. So as you see these trends happening, and again, I'm not picking on San Francisco, I'm not picking on New York, we're just reporting the news and talking about the financial markets, because this is going to impact the markets. Maybe not on the equity side, but definitely real estate values, commercial property values, right? Residential real estate values. So as we see a decline, right, a degradation of quality of living, quality of life, well, corporations are going to start to put more pressure on politicians to try to turn things around. So, again, Salesforce reporting earnings today. Operating margins expanded. There was a lot of talk about artificial intelligence. We'll talk about if that's a little bit overblown or not. But I think the main takeaway is that it was a pretty big beat. in the face of the economic environment, the economic climate, and rising interest rates, Salesforce manages to churn out pretty good results with Mark Benioff at the helm. So I'm going to go ahead and close up the laptop. Today we are going to be walking all the way. I think I want to take you guys to Sutton Place. We haven't been to Sutton Place in a long time. For those of you who don't know, that's all the way on the east side of Manhattan. It has unbelievable views. It is gorgeous, and it is home to a lot of cooperatives, right? So a lot of co-ops are at Sutton Place. Before we start, might as well just take a look at the S&P 500, where it closed today. Another green day in the market. It looks like, across the board, S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is trying to carve out this cup with handle pattern. Now, as we know, tomorrow is actually the last day of August, right? And if we look back historically at Wall Street data, September is usually the worst month in terms of performance for stocks. So keep that in mind as we go on. But the S&P 500 today closed at 4,514. I do want to take a quick check at crude oil. I think it's important to keep our eyes on that. Crude, as of doing this video, if you look at light crude oil futures, ticker symbol CL, we're trading at about $81 a barrel, back above the 50-day and the 200-day moving average. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a little bit of a rally into the year end for crude. All right, so let me go ahead and close up the laptop. I hope all of you had a fantastic Wednesday. It's already the middle of the week, and we'll get started. Give me a moment. Alrighty, let's clip the microphone on here. Holy crap, look at that moon, guys. Sorry about that, look at this. This is absolutely gorgeous. This must be called something. Wow, that is stunning. Let me actually walk away from this light a little bit. Now, this is the UPS headquarters here in Manhattan. Look at that moon. It must be a full moon tonight. Actually, it definitely is a full moon tonight, because one of the big issues that we're seeing in Southwest Florida right now is not only do we have this horrible hurricane that's about to hit places like Fort Myers and Tampa, but the big issue is actually the storm surge. So the hurricane, if I'm correct, hasn't even hit Fort Myers yet, but there's already about 3 feet of storm surge, and that is obviously not helping because we have the full moon. So hopefully everybody is staying safe, and the storm will pass all of our friends in Florida. I see tech guys here. Good to see you. My friend D, Buy the Book, A-Scan, British Gray from Tampa, Florida, wishing you the best. Please stay safe. If you need anything, please let us and the team know here. Richard Vogel, Soho Joe says, hey Tom, what's going on? Austin City Limits, DL Danielle, welcome. Buy the Book is here. Joe Ratz says, giddy up. John, hey, Ukrainian Royal says, it's cloudy up here tonight. 60-degree high tomorrow in the mountains. It's always nice to see you streaming. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for your very kind donation. And one last look at this gorgeous view here. The Hudson Yards looks fantastic tonight. Also, one of my favorite things about coming all the way over here by the Hudson River is the lights of the city glistening off the water. It's absolutely stunning. But again, team, we're going to head directly into the belly of the beast, through Times Square and to Sutton Place tonight. If you look all the way in the distance, that's actually Central Park Tower. That is one of the tallest residential apartment buildings in New York City, and it was developed by Gary Burnett and Extel. Hey, I see Jay Grant is here. Says, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Our good friend Richard Vogel is here. Pineapple Water, what's up? Says, day late and $1 short on the hurricane. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for joining us. Jay. Oh, is that what it's called? It's called the Super Blue Moon. I did not know that. Hopefully we'll get some cool shots of the moon as we head over to Sutton Place. Again, for those of you who don't know, in my opinion, right, some of the best views in Manhattan are actually from Sutton Place. Now you're going to be looking east, so it's not the traditional view that you think of when we're walking the Brooklyn Bridge, but you can see the 59th Street Bridge, you can see Roosevelt Island, and you can see all the way into Queens. And if you're standing in the right position, if I can get you guys into one of those parks there at Sutton Place, you could actually see a little bit of the Williamsburg Bridge. And it's a clear night for that. I think the rain is going to hold up, so we should have unobstructed views. This is Pier 83. Looks like everybody's getting off of these Circle Line Liberty tour boats here. If you look in the distance, that is good old New Jersey. Shout out to everybody in New Jersey. I see Lizzie is here. Says, hey everybody and happy Wednesday. Yeah, this week is flying by. This week is absolutely flying by. I gotta tell you guys about the crazy day I had today. But I won't go too much into detail. I don't want to bore you, but just a wild, wild day. A crazy, crazy day. But a good day, I guess. Hey, A Name, thank you so much for your support. You're very generous and very kind. It says thank you for all you do, Tom. Always personality and a nice walk to look forward to each evening. If I can make a request, could we drop by 33 Thomas Street? I've never been there and I hope you're well, my friend. Very nice.
Can I talk to you 1 second?
Not really, but what's up?
I want to know how much you pay for this and what is that called?
Oh, it's like $100 on Amazon. It's called the Gimbal.
Gimbal?
Yeah.
Any particular name or style or something? And this one, you put them on your any phone you use it, right?
Yeah, it's like it stabilizes it, so it's not like super shaky for the audience.
No.
But
my question is, you can use any phone, or
yeah, you can use any phone for sure.
and you take
Yeah.
a picture also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go on Amazon and type in gimbal. It'll pop up in 2 seconds, and just you can get anyone you want.
Oh, really?
I just don't know the exact brand, but
I
anyone
just
will
wanna
do.
know the function is like picture. You can make the clip and
You could do everything. It's versatile. It's fantastic. You're gonna love it. See you soon, man. Take care. But A Name, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll check out 33 Thomas Street. Maybe not tonight, but I can almost guarantee I could promise you that for tomorrow. Just because tonight we're gonna head in the complete opposite direction. You know, let me actually think for a moment here. Yeah, actually we could probably do Thomas Street tomorrow 100%. Yeah, because we're gonna be down that way anyway in Tribeca, so. But yeah, A Name, thank you so much for your generous donation. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate you very much. Okay, let's cross the West Side Highway here at the beautiful bike path. Actually seems like a pretty busy night. A lot of tourists are out. I'm assuming everybody has taken a lot of their time off, maybe their PTO for the last, I would say the last true weekend of summer. It's gonna be Labor Day weekend, so. Hey, Austin City Limits, welcome. Michael says, you walked past me once while I was streaming. Hey, say hi. Say hello. That's awesome. Good to see you. No, somebody says, Tom, did you hear about the guy throwing newspapers on fire at 33rd and 6th Street Park and 6th? I did not, but that's sort of par for the course for the city. There's always some crazy stuff going on. Meldis here, welcome. We have Ukrainian Royal in here again. Good to see you as always. Bill, what's up? So, I have a quick question for everybody. We won't spend too much time on this topic, but I think it's an important topic just to briefly cover and just maybe garner some insights. But before we do that, I'll really quick just point out the Intrepid Museum, which is right here. This is a retired aircraft carrier, U.S. aircraft carrier. If you haven't been to that museum, I definitely would. It is very cool. But I'm sure everybody has seen the news article, right? Especially if you are covering Salesforce earnings report today. Now, Salesforce always puts on a very big event called Dreamforce. It usually happens every year. I think they didn't do it in 2020 due to the virus. Obviously, it may have been a virtual event. In any event. So, allegedly, well, not allegedly, Mark Benioff came out and said, this may be the last year that we will be hosting Dreamforce in San Francisco due to the uptick in crime, due to the uptick in drugs, just the violence, the homelessness in and of itself. And if you think about a big event like Dreamforce, it brings multi millions of dollars to the city, right? When I was in tech, I used to be a director of enterprise sales at a tech company. We would go to events like that, right? We would go to a lot of expos. I've been to Dreamforce personally myself, and that stirs a lot of economic activity, right? Because you're flying in your different employees, you're putting them up in hotels, you're going out to eat, you're doing, corporate events. Maybe you go to Topgolf or something like that. I think you guys get the picture. But as we continue to see, and again, not picking on San Francisco, not picking on New York, just reporting the news, it's pretty much across every big city in America right now. As the homelessness crisis in the United States explodes, and as it almost just doesn't feel safe to many employees to go to work, right? That was another major complaint for some of the employees at Salesforce. They just don't feel safe walking to work. Do you think we're going to continue to see this big pressure from corporate CEOs on elected officials to essentially say, hey, look, if you don't change policy, if you don't, increase funding to get rid of these problems, we're just going to pull our business elsewhere? And the last question is, are you seeing this any other place, maybe in your neck of the woods where you live? Maybe you don't live in the United States, maybe you live in Canada. Let us know. I think this is gonna be an ever-evolving trend here. Jay Frost says, I think so, Tom. Hey, Joel PM says this is a great opportunity for other cities to step up their convention marketing game. Yeah, I mean, one person's loss is another person's gain. I would say that for sure. It's just kind of sad, but I think pressure is needed. Hey, Vincent is here. Says there's homelessness down the park from Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania as well. Bill says the pressure is needed. I'm happy with the way things are turning in San Francisco, but we need continued pressure. Yeah, and I think that's the reason why they're doing it, right? Do I really think that Mark Benioff is serious? Man, the wind is crazy. I'm not sure if you guys could hear that. It's probably like 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts here. But do I really think Mark Benioff is serious about, pulling Dreamforce away from San Francisco? Probably not. I think he's just using it as a leveraging tool because he's probably had a lot of backlash from his employees, right? Even in some parts of New York, right? I'm not going to lie. I don't sugarcoat it. I tell you guys the truth. In some parts of New York, not everywhere, in isolated spots, it's almost like taxing to walk through it because you see exposed needles. You see, people in just dire situations. You see homelessness. You see drug abuse. And just walking past that every day, I'm not going to lie. It's like, it takes a mental toll on people. So, yeah, I mean, I think I would agree with many of you in the chat. I think we're going to see a continuation of major corporate CEOs putting pressure on politicians to change. Lila is here. Says Augusta, Georgia has a horrible problem with homelessness. Problem is low wages and high rents. Yeah, that's definitely part of the problem, particularly the high rent part. That's really the only, and we were talking about this. That's actually a really good point, because we were talking about this as it relates to CPI, right? The inflation number. That is really the only category, or one of the only categories that we're not seeing much progress in terms of prices coming down, is shelter costs. Hey, Nat is here. Flat Smacks is if we could afford to give NASA $60 million a day, we can give everyone a free home. I don't know about that. I don't know about a free home, but I definitely see what you're saying. Hey, Gigi NYC, what's up? Daniel G, it's always good to see you. Victor is here, says Tom, we live near El Paso, Texas, and we didn't see this decline of civility. Oh, you don't see that decline. Got it. The migrant issues were dealt with successfully. Got it. Yeah, well, I mean, that's another issue that we talked about yesterday, right? Particularly in New York, where, you know, it's gotten to the point where Jamie Dimon now has reached out to the President of the United States. Not only Jamie Dimon, but BlackRock's Larry Fink. Larry Fink actually wrote a letter to the Biden administration saying, you gotta figure this out. You gotta fix it. So, hey, Nako says, how would you fund those programs for homeless? Would it be through more taxes? I don't necessarily know about that. I just don't think it's a money problem. And I've said this before, right? I've said this many, many times before. California spends so much money on trying to, fix the homeless problem. It's not a money issue, right? In theory, there's an unlimited amount of money to be able to be thrown at this problem. It's a resource problem, and it's a problem in competence. You need competent people running these programs. And unfortunately, that's not what we have. And also, it's a very complex issue, too. Because the homelessness issue also doubles with, the mental health crisis we have in the United States. Because chances are, right, if you've ever walked around a major city, I would say over 80% of the people who are actually homeless, it's very, very apparent, right? And I'm not trying to be insensitive, but it's very, very apparent that they suffer from some sort of a mental health issue that prevents them from finding work in the first place. So, hey, Abdul is here. Good to see you. All right, so we are now crossing 10th on 42nd Street. Hopefully it'll get a little bit less windy as we further walk inland to Midtown Manhattan. But we'll see. You know what's another interesting thing that I've noticed? So I'm working this deal, and I was just thinking about efficiencies today. Like, how can we increase some very, very apparent operational efficiencies? And it's across all industries, but I guess we'll just talk about, a prime example in the real estate business. When a deal goes into, right before a deal goes into contract, an offer is accepted on a piece of property, right? And in New York, the lawyers, both on the buy side and the sell side, they go into their diligence phase. They do all the diligence on the property, and the lawyer that is, I'm working on a new development deal. So the lawyer for the sell side is the sponsor's lawyer, and the lawyer from the buy side and the lawyer from the sell side are going back and forth with one another on these very, very trivial issues, so to speak. So there was 1,000 emails flying back and forth. And I just so happened, I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a look at what some of these emails are for. Like, what are these emails all about? And there was about 3 or 4 emails being exchanged over the course of a day, right? An entire day, and lawyers are billed by the hour, arguing over who is going to essentially put the sprinkler caps back on these 2 sprinklers that were exposed in the apartment, right? Because we had a maintenance guy come and there was 2 sprinkler caps missing. And the sponsor's lawyer is like, no, it's going to be an as-is condition. We're not going to do that. And then the other lawyer's like, well, then we're going to have you put in the contract, you have to give a closing credit to, hire a contractor to come in and put those sprinkler caps on. And I'm reading this and I'm like, why don't I just walk over to the property, pick up the sprinkler caps, get the ladder from the basement and just put it back on? So that's exactly what I did. And I responded to the email, I put the sprinkler caps back on. So imagine all of the trivial nonsense that lawyers fight about, and they're billing their clients hundreds of dollars an hour. And that's just this very, very small example. There was also a couple other things. One of the other things was a sprayer for the shower, right? So the shower has a big rainfall head shower, and it also has like the body sprayer. The buyer wanted the body sprayer to be installed, and the sponsor, the seller, is like, no, it's going to be an as-is condition. We got to bring in a contractor to do all that work. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, the shower sprayer is literally sitting in a box in the closet. So I took it out of the box in the closet and I screwed it on, and I sent everybody a picture and I said, okay, the work is done. And I think that's just one of the, as we talk about AI, artificial intelligence, I think a lot of those trivial processes can be automated away. Now, lawyers on both the buy and the sell side in real estate, they do a lot of real work, but there's also a lot of stuff that is so trivial. Has anybody ever experienced anything like that? In your personal experience, maybe you work in the business, or maybe you're a lawyer yourself. It just seems like it's so crazy what some of these lawyers fight about. It's wild. Hey, NBA Elias, what's up? This is Tom. In essence, you took the toy away from the two children. Yeah, I mean, I think also that's their job, right? That's literally their job, is to play extreme hardball. But at times, just do the easiest fix, the easiest solution. You don't need to hire you don't have to pay a contractor to put a sprinkler cap on. You don't have to hire a contractor to screw in a little shower nozzle. It's kind of crazy. Hey, Bob Smith says you're explaining a reason to support libertarians to make laws more simple, eliminating the need for tons of lawyers. Well, maybe, I don't know. I just think, a lot of that stuff can be fixed by an algorithm, right? You could train the algorithm to say, okay, how hard is this task really, right? And rank it, right? You could feed the algorithm massive amounts of data, and you could say, okay, how hard is putting in a shower fixture? Probably ranks pretty low on the list. How hard is, installing a new countertop because the countertop is cracked? That's probably really hard, right? So you're probably going to need to do some real negotiation. But I'm be surprised about how many deals are held up just because the real estate agents aren't really involved with that side, and lawyers just may not know how trivial and easy it is to fix something. Who knows? All right, we are at our favorite place. This is the Port Authority bus terminal at 42nd Street. Hey, Latha says laws are not what create the need for lawyers. Yeah, Latha, that's one way to look at it. Nako says lawyers will claim potential liability and exposure as a reason for those arguments. Oh, for sure, yeah. They'll say, oh, you shouldn't be, the liability of getting up on a ladder. What if you fall off the ladder? Things like that. You're right. That's actually a really good point. Hey, Bill says, don't disconnect from this common sense approach, though. I've seen many brokers disconnect over the years. Yeah, I mean, and it saves both people a lot of money, right? It'll save the buyer a lot of money, and it'll save
the seller or the sponsor, or depending on if it's new development or not, a lot of money. Because some things are just a very easy fix, that if you just do it yourself, you'll get it done. And I would assume, the lawyers are getting paid by the hour. So it's almost as if, and I'm not saying this is the case, by the way, but it's almost as if the incentivization structure of a deal like that is to drag it on for as long as possible, particularly if it's billable by the hour. It was just, ridiculous what I was seeing. But, there's actually a lot of traffic right near 42nd Street, Times Square on this Wednesday night. It's a traffic jam outside of the Port Authority bus terminal. Hey, Mike O says plumber's tape on the threads before screwing it on or it'll leak. I did that, yeah. I had a little thing of Teflon tape. Just put 2 loops around it and you screw it on and you're good to go. You're absolutely right. Hey, Max Stone says, Tom, I work for Viacom on the 44th Street, finally leaving the city I once loved in March. Well, hopefully, maybe you're taking a better opportunity, another better job, who knows? Well, good luck to you, sir. Now, this is the New York Times building, West 41st Street and 8th Avenue. And then you have the Beer Authority that is right next to the Port Authority bus terminal. Hey, Justin S. says, think city visitors are picking up for the holiday weekend yet? I mean, it definitely looks like it, but it was weird because in and around Midtown Manhattan today, it was actually pretty dead. There wasn't too many people in the offices, which makes sense, right? Because everybody's still away in the Hamptons and Martha's Vineyard and Connecticut, all around. Really, after Labor Day is when everybody tends to come back. Hey, enjoy the decline. Says, do you know that you sound like Patrick Bateman? I did not know that. I've actually never seen that movie, by the way. But thank you for being here. But yeah, I mean, not to, hammer on the subject too long, but that's just sort of how my brain is wired now. Since I've worked in tech for over a decade, it's all about how can you expose the operational inefficiency and create a product or service or build a software that makes it more efficient. So if I had to make a prediction or a guess, and this isn't only for residential real estate, by the way, this is probably for commercial and the like, there's probably going to be software or algorithms that are built and that are trained to identify fail points in the transaction, right? Particularly on bickering and fighting over things that could be done in 2 seconds, right? So I talked about that ranking system, right? If you feed an algorithm tons and tons of data, it will be able to rank and spit out a sheet, a very easy one-pager to say, okay, based upon historical standards, how easy or difficult is it for us to fix this problem? And I think that'll save clients a lot of money. All right, it looks like there's actually a Broadway show getting out right now. I don't think we've ever taken 41st Street to Broadway, but it looks like there's some sort of Broadway show. Let's see what it's called. Nederlander. Interesting. Hey, photos from around New York. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you. All right, let's continue to head towards Broadway and Bryant Park. I love the scaffolding on this building right here. Hey, Paul says, Tom, would you say fears of a recession/financial crisis have generally died down? I wouldn't say the fears of it has died down. I actually think people are still a little bit fearful of it. especially a lot of notable Wall Street money managers. Now, has anybody seen the article? We'll try to get out of Times Square. Has anybody seen the article that's been plastered for the last 2 months all over the financial channels like CNBC, Bloomberg Business, Reuters? And it's that Michael Burry has the largest short position he's ever had in his firm's history on the S&P 500. Now, I've always said this, just because a major money manager on Wall Street comes out that they're long or short something, doesn't mean that you should do the same thing, right? The best money managers on Wall Street are still only right about 50% of the time, and that's if you're really, really good. So if you're the best to ever do it, like Stanley Druckenmiller, like Paul Tudor Jones, Warren Buffett, they're still only right about 50% of the time. The reason why they make money is because they know how to risk manage the position very, very well. Hey, Paul Meddes, good to see you. You could actually see the ball that they drop on New Year's at One Times Square. All right, we finally got the light. Let's cross. Yeah, the LT prods, as you don't fight the Fed as much anymore. Well, the Fed has been very aggressive with their tightening, right? The Fed has been very, very aggressive with tightening monetary policy. MBA Elias, that's another really good point. So MBA Elias is like Kathy Wood selling NVIDIA. I think she sold it at the dead bottom too, didn't she? I could have sworn I was looking at some of the buys and sells of the ARK funds. And it turns out that they sold NVIDIA literally right at the bottom. I think NVIDIA may have hit a new all-time record high just the other day. Wow, check this out. Speaking of recession fears, look at the line for Joe's Pizza. No recession at Joe's. That's the one thing, if I could admit and say that if there's one thing that has really surprised me about this economy, it's the resiliency of the consumer. The consumer has been so ridiculously resilient, it's almost gotten to the point where it's a little bit unbelievable, has it not? Now, there's two sides to this coin, right? Because we could say, yeah, consumer sentiment is improving, right? A couple weeks ago, we got the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report out. But on the other hand, yes, consumers are spending. Yes, consumer sentiment is improving. But guess what is also climbing at a staggering rate? You guessed it, it is household consumer debt. It is specifically credit card debt. So are consumers spending in an appropriate way, let's just say? Who knows? Yeah, Elizabeth Gill says debt, TD says credit, Mighty Mole says credit card debt. Now look at the line for Joe's Pizza. It literally goes all the way down the block to West 41st Street. Now, is this a little bit of anecdotal data? Yeah, of course. It's obviously an anecdote. But how many times have we walked around Midtown Manhattan this summer and seen restaurants absolutely packed? Seen just regular pizza shops absolutely packed? Talked about hotels, right? I told you guys about, one of my good friends that works at the Park Hyatt, where a room rate starts at $1,000 a night. Just one night is $1,000. And they've been almost at complete occupancy, absolute max occupancy this summer. So it's interesting. Maybe we still have a little bit of pent-up demand from the Big C, but in general, it seems that consumers are out and spending. It's probably because unemployment is still at all-time record lows. Someone says because migrants take up hotel rooms. Not at the Park Hyatt, they don't. Since Salesforce reported earnings today, we might as well go by Salesforce Tower. You can see just how windy it is. It must be like 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts here. Wow, the LTU Prods is in 2008. My ex-girlfriend was a waitress making $300 a night. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. You know, some waiters and waitresses at very, very well-to-do restaurants, I'm talking about like Michelin-star restaurants, of very popular restaurants in the city, some waiters or waitresses can make six figures in New York City. $100,000 a year is attainable at the appropriate restaurant. Okay, everybody, I want to point this out real quick. What we're looking at right now is Bank of America Tower. This is Brian Moynihan's company. And then this is One Times Square, which is actually under construction. But in just a few months, if you can believe that, in 2 days it's going to be September. So in only a few months, we'll be standing here watching the ball drop in Times Square. They actually do it right here at One Times Square. A little crazy to think about, but it's true. Hey, Nancy Segura says Tom, bartenders as well. Oh yeah, absolutely. And look, and they deserve it, okay? They deserve it. One of my first jobs, I don't know if I told you guys this, one of the first jobs I've ever had, right, as a kid, you know, you're 14 years old, you're just trying to make a couple bucks in the summer. I was a dishwasher, okay? And dishwashing is such a grueling job. It's hell, it was hell. But I learned a lot. And also being a waiter or a waitress is very, very hard work. So I agree, they deserve every penny they make, particularly in a restaurant in New York City, when it's very, very busy and you're on your feet all night. You're 100% right. Hey, Battery Grams, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And here we have it, 3 Bryant Park, ticker symbol CRM. Our good friend Mark Benioff that reported earnings today, this is his tower in New York. They beat on both the top and the bottom line, and profit margins or gross margins actually came in well above expectations. Great quarter for Salesforce. Sam M says 100,000 sounds a little bit excessive, but okay. Not everybody's making that, but if you're at the right restaurant, that is very attainable. For example, if you work at like a Per Se or something like that, which is actually in the Deutsche Bank towers, those waiters and waitresses make a lot. Because you gotta think about it like this. At a restaurant like Per Se, which is very expensive, it's a French restaurant in the Deutsche Bank towers, you know, probably it's $300 a head, just for one person, 300 bucks. So if you're tipping 20%, and then you're probably gonna get wine, you know, other drinks, you know, the tips could be very, very significant. Beautiful shot of the Empire State Building, standing right outside Bryant Park. But I think we need to get a good shot of the Salesforce sign that sits right here in between 41st Street and 42nd. If you look all the way down 6th Avenue or Avenue of the Americas, you could actually see a little bit of the World Trade Center too. Hey, MBA Elias' biggest financial story of the year so far is the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, not the threat of recessions. Yeah, that's a very good point. And to sort of piggyback off of your comment, this is going to be a good exercise in human psychology. The Silicon Valley Bank collapse was only a few months ago. And how many average Americans, right, that don't follow the financial markets all the time have probably already forgotten about it and they don't even remember it happened? You know, Americans have very, very short attention spans, right? And I'm not saying that as an insult, it's just the truth, it's all over. If you're not following the financial markets and if you're not paying attention to this stuff all the time, you know, over time, things just go away. So I think the Silicon Valley Bank collapse probably only had, you know, an impact on consumer sentiment for maybe, you know, an entirety of, I would give it 30 days max for the vast majority of people. Some people probably had no idea it was even going on, to be honest. Wow, that I think is the money shot of the night. Look at that, the super blue moon over the Steven Schwartzman building. Unbelievable. That is a gorgeous shot. Now, Steven Schwartzman is mainly known for leverage buyout deals, or LBOs, in his heyday on Wall Street. And he sits at the helm of Blackstone. Beautiful fountain here at Bryant Park. Hey, TPAC 5000 says, evening, do you think the Fed pumps the market through the plunge protection team? Well, technically, yeah. But that's essentially the Fed balance sheet, right? So there's really two ways that the Federal Reserve provides monetary stimulus. Number one is setting the short-term lending rate, or the federal funds rate, which now sits at 5.25% to 5.5%. But additionally, or secondly, it's through the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. And you could actually look at this in real time. If you go to the St. Louis Fed's website and just click balance sheet, you can see it. And the balance sheet is mainly made up of mortgage-backed securities and US Treasuries. And essentially that creates money. So when you're talking about, you know, printing money digitally, providing liquidity to markets, the Federal Reserve does that by buying US Treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. And you know, they're not allowed to buy stocks outright, but you know, we'll leave it at that. This is an awesome view. This is the lawn at Bryant Park. My favorite building, the New York Public Library, right here. And you have a pretty good shot of One Vanderbilt too. Hey, DA is here. I see Ibrahim is on. Melvin HUS. Mitch says, Tom, did you know people have the code to change the lights? Steph UF, good to see you. Elizabeth Gill says, Tom, the Wall Street Journal had an article about people are foregoing purchasing homeowners insurance in certain high insurance areas. Now, is that even allowed sometimes? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I think some mortgage lenders will require a homeowner's insurance. If you don't have homeowner's insurance, they won't underwrite the deal. I mean, maybe some homeowners if it's completely paid off, but I think most times, now I may be mistaken, but most times the bank wants to make sure you have homeowners insurance because that's their asset technically, right? I mean, think about it like this, right? If you buy a $400,000 piece of property, okay, and you put $100,000 down and you leverage out the rest, well, the bank is giving you 300 grand. You technically don't own the house, right? The bank owns the house. And banks are not stupid, right? They want to protect their investment. You may think it's your investment, but until that mortgage payment is paid off, it's yours, right? So the problem therein lies, if you don't have homeowners insurance, maybe they call the note. Maybe they repossess the house. I don't know. You got to look in. You got to look at the fine print in your clause in your mortgage. But most do require it. C. Brown says mortgage lenders make you have homeowners insurance. If you do not have it, they will force place it on the home, and it is very, very expensive. Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought as well. Now, again, there may be some very obscure chance where, you know, if you get it from some credit union or something, they don't require it, but Tony says have to protect the collateral. Yeah, I agree. You're right. Natasha piece is definitely not if you are getting a mortgage. Hey, Chris Beeman is here. What's up? Irish Toker, good to see you. But look, I'm trying to think. If you live in a place that is very prone to hurricanes, natural disasters, you know, wildfires and the like, you probably shouldn't forego your homeowner's insurance. Okay, and probably not a smart move. But look, you know, I think we live in a world now in the United States where the vast majority of population is near big cities and in desirable locations. So guess what? People want to live, unfortunately, where there are a lot of fires, hurricanes. I mean, look what's going on in Florida right now, Southwest Florida. This is actually, you know what? If Daniel G from Buenos Aires, Argentina is in the chat, I think I may have to agree with you. I think this is my favorite view of the Empire State Building. This is a gorgeous view. Imagine sitting right here, reading a book, having a cup of coffee, even having lunch during work. And then you see this gorgeous view of Empire State Building. It's pretty good. But anyway, you know, there's been all of these articles coming out that some major homeowners or just insurance companies are pulling out of major states. Particularly the top two are Florida and California. I believe, and let me know in the comments if this is the name of the company. I could be wrong. I'm still suffering from a little bit of the brain fog. But I think Farmers Insurance has totally pulled out of the state of Florida. I do not think they write new policies in the state of Florida at all, and also California. So if you're looking for a new homeowner's policy from Farmers or State Farm in Florida or California, they're not going to write it. They're just not going to do business there, which is a problem, which is a major, major problem. All right, you have more people dining outside. Beautiful. If you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these streams every day starting at 8:30 p.m. Hey, Marcy M, what's up? There he is, Daniel G from Buenos Aires. Yeah, we just saw your favorite view, your preferred view, my friend. All right, let's check out Bryant Park Grill and then we got to head up because we got to make it to Sutton Place on time. Looks like Bryant Park Grill is absolutely packed tonight. Hey, Sky in Cloud Lover says it happens here in Ontario. Hey, Ren 1018 says, Tom, already looking forward to your yearly New Year's Eve ball drop. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that too much, just because, as you know, I love the summer. But yeah, winter's going to be here soon enough. Hey, Carmen Jimenez says, hello, Tom. Glad you're back and feeling better. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm still about 99.9% better. I think my voice is a little bit iffy still, so I have some lingering effects, but Roberts is Allstate also pulled out of California and Florida. Now, as we have more wildfires and as we have more hurricanes, that's going to put more stress and strain on the system. Not only for the insurance companies, but for the states as well. I think Texas has totally almost depleted their disaster relief fund. So it is a big problem that all investors really need to think about, particularly if you're thinking about buying, selling, or even renting in any of these locations. We'll go to the corner of 5th Avenue just so we can see the Lions, and then we'll head back up. Hey, Cohen officials, am I showing up in the live chat? Indeed you are. And welcome. Thank you for being here. Patriots NFL 1 says it's crazy how different New York City is in the winter. It's a little brutal. I mean, it's nice during the holidays, but after the holidays, I'm over it, in my opinion. February is probably the worst month to visit the city, in my opinion, because it's too cold. You can't really walk around Central Park, which I think Central Park is one of the most important places to visit when you're in the city. This is a great shot of the One Vanderbilt here. Oh, you know what I wanted to mention? I had a good laugh about this one. So I was scrolling through the Wall Street Journal today, and I see an article about Zoom. So Zoom, ticker symbol ZM. I'm sure all of you know what Zoom is, right? If you've ever had a Zoom meeting, you know, working virtual, working remote. And the article was that Zoom is planning on calling back their employees to the office at least 3 days a week. So if you have a company where essentially their entire mission statement and value proposition is to help people collaborate remotely, if they're calling their employees back to the office, what do you think is going to happen for anybody else? Now, here's the caveat. I was reading this article and I stopped myself for a moment and I was like, you know what? I think there's a lot more to this article than what meets the eye. And let me explain here for a moment. Just to sort of, and you probably already know this, but corporate America works like this sometimes. If a company wants to cut costs or lay off their employees, and they don't want to pay them like a severance or anything, or they don't want to pay them a package, oftentimes they'll just make life very difficult for the employee. So I think this move, to be honest, right? Now, I'm not saying this is the reason why they're doing it, but this move could potentially just be from upper management because they want to cut costs. And they know that if they require their employees to return back to the office at least 3 days a week, they're going to get some churn. Now, it may not be a lot, but they may get 1% of the entire workforce to quit or go work somewhere else. And that may be exactly what their plan was the entire time. I don't know, any thoughts on that? Have you guys seen that article? Yeah, TD says quiet cutting. Yeah, it's a way for them to cut costs. Joseph Hardaway says 100%. Hey, Hang with Mark Mom is here. Says Tom, they become toxic to the workers. And I've been through a situation like that before. Not in terms of calling you back to work, but other, very, very trivial things. I'll give you an example. Oh, it's a new company standard, it's a new company policy that you have to fill out this paperwork and show all of your activity before 7 o'clock on Friday night. It has to be submitted before 7 o'clock Friday night, and if you don't do that, you are an insubordinate and you're going to get written up. And if you get written up 3 times, you're fired. They'll put in, very trivial, stupid things like that. Wow, Fearless, has it happened to you? Rockstar says Zoom's business model is definitely not sustainable. Ken Brockton has got to say it's a great way to cut headcount without paying severance. You said it, not me. Claude says, do you think it's better to work in the office? I don't know. I think it depends on the person. I've sort of said this before. Man, those rickshaw carts are the worst. I think they're the worst thing that ever happened in New York City. Then probably the fentanyl, but them probably number one. But here's what I think. I think if you're very early on in your career, particularly you're just graduating college, maybe 1 or 2 years out of school, I would probably go into the office every day. I wouldn't work remote because it's very, very difficult for you to build a network and learn things remotely. Now, if you've been doing this for a decade and you're a VP at a company or you're a partner or managing director, then yeah, sure. I mean, your chances are you're already making a pretty major base salary and work remote as long as you want. Oh, I almost stepped on a needle. That was close. So I think early on in your career, you have the energy and the capacity to go into the office. You probably should. I think it's very, very good for your career to show face in the office as much as possible. I don't know, that's what I would say. Hey, Joel PM says, before work from home, most of my team did not talk in the office. All communication is IM and email. Yeah, over like Microsoft Teams and things like that. I don't know, for me, I was in sales, right? So would we collaborate during the morning meetings? Yeah, I guess. I think there was some collaboration there. But I don't think I would have been a top performer in my organization if I didn't come into the office. Because one of the ways that I was so successful at my previous company in sales is I would find out who the top sales guys and sales girls were in the office, and I would spend a lot of time around them. I would bring them deals, right? So if I was cold calling or if I was emailing, I would try to set appointments, and then I would go up to the best salespeople in the office and say, hey, I landed this appointment. I want you to come on the appointment with me, and if we close it, I'll give you 70% of the deal. And that's really how I got my start. So I would just prospect like crazy and partner with people who were crazy good at closing. And through that, yeah, did I make a little bit less money technically on every deal? Yes, I did, right? Because I had to give away a lot of the commission. But the volume that I was doing was so massive that I was blowing out my quota and I was making a ton of money because I was increasing my deal volume. And all while I was doing that, I was learning on how to do the deals appropriately, how to structure the deals appropriately, how to negotiate the deal appropriately, right? How to provide good customer service. And I don't think I would have done that if I wasn't in the office around the top performers, learning from them. So a lot of the newer generation that's up and coming, if all the top performers are at home crushing it and closing deals, well, how are they going to learn, right? How are they going to get their start? That's my only concern. Is that a little bit overblown, and do I think that's going to happen? I don't know. I just think it would have been harder for me to do good if I wasn't around other coworkers. So, hey, Hawaii says, yeah, I'm not in sales, so working remotely is very good for my department. That's a really good point too. I guess it depends on what you do. If you are in compliance, or if you work in cybersecurity, or maybe you're in HR, something like that, then maybe working remote makes more sense. You could be just as productive. So that's very good. It's very dynamic. It's very fluid. I agree with that. Wow, look at this. This is a gorgeous view of the one and only Grand Central Station, Grand Central Terminal, right here at Vanderbilt Avenue and East 42nd Street. Now, this has always been my favorite shot in the city. Of all the taxi cabs lined out outside of Grand Central Station, I just think it's beautiful. It's awesome. Hey, Kathleen says you are missing an important connection when you only know a colleague online. Spoken as an older person with experience in both virtual and in-person interactions. I think that's a really good point, Kathleen, and I second that. You don't make that same personal connection with somebody if you're talking with them over FaceTime. I agree. Hey, Brad's Brains says HR, admin, etc. is still not as productive remotely. This is a lie people want you to believe so that they can work from home. I feel like there needs to be studies on this, and there probably will be over the next couple of years. But I don't know, Brad, I mean, do you say that from personal experience? Because I know you're a business owner yourself. So maybe you know, and you're saying this from personal experience. Who knows? Wow, this is a really good shot here. You can see all the way down 42nd Street, all the way to the water, right? So if you look all the way down here, that's Queens, all the way in the distance. I don't know, I feel as if employees will work better and will be more productive if they're happier. And if they're happier coming into the office maybe 2 days a week, you know, then maybe you could use that as an incentive, right? So if I was a CEO, and this is going to be a really good shot of the Chrysler building here. If I was a CEO of a company, I think here's what my policy would be. I would start everybody off saying, you know, we're going to have one mandatory day in the office. We'll take a quick lap around Grand Central Station. And if you want to work remotely more days, it'll be based on productivity and it'll be based on how good of a job you do. So you could start off working remote 3 days a week if you want. And if your performance is great, if you're killing your numbers, if you're doing your work on time and you're getting good performance reviews, then you can continue to do whatever the hell you want, right? I don't care. But if we see a decline and you're not meeting those standards, well, then we're going to take some of those, you know, privileges away, right? Which would be the working remote. That's probably how I would structure that. Because look, generally speaking, I believe if employees are happy, they're probably going to want to do more work for you. I mean, has anybody here in the chat ever worked for a boss that they couldn't freaking stand? And be honest, we all have, right? We've all worked for a boss that it's like you get the Sunday scaries at night. Like you loathe coming into the office because you're like, oh my gosh, this guy or girl is such a monster. And it creates a toxic environment. But if you have a manager or a boss that's awesome, you're incentivized, right, inadvertently to do better work. You want to make the guy look good. You want to make this girl look good. So, I don't know, that's sort of my thoughts. Wow, guys, I'm very surprised. It's kind of empty in here, right? What a big contrast between walking through Times Square and now walking through Grand Central Station. It is dead in here. Maybe that's because everybody's outside, but I was expecting this to be very busy. I'm very surprised that it's dead. Hey, Melissa 2087 says, Tom, I absolutely love my managers and owners of my company now. I don't mind coming to work at all. I still drag myself out of bed once in a while. Yeah, well, I mean, you're point and case and example right there. Cohen Official says, yes, I hope the last people at my job. Oh my God, dude. That's unfortunate. Hey, Joel PM says, I've had only great bosses. It's the peers that I've had were the problem. I've really only had one bad experience. But again, from a sales perspective, the way it usually works is if you're producing and you're hitting your number, chances are they just leave you alone totally, right? Because if you're an account executive, or let's say if you're an enterprise account executive, chances are you're on a team of like 7 or 8 people. And your boss, right, your sales director, he gets paid based upon how well you do. So if you're doing well and you're absolutely freaking crushing it, well, guess what? He or she is incentivized to make you as happy as possible so you don't leave and get hired away by somebody else. But if you're not hitting your quota, your manager's probably going to be on you all the time, riding you, making sure you're doing a good job. So, hey, CMO Solutions is here. This is Tom. I was a mortgage underwriter during the stated income days. My last boss made fake loans and stole millions. Holy crap. Well, I definitely agree. I definitely believe you, because that was going on a lot leading up to the financial crisis. Right? One of the main reasons why the financial crisis was so bad was because of exactly what you were saying. The underwriting standards were so egregious leading up to 2008, right? There was no income verification. You could pretty much just tell the loan officer what you made and they would believe you. There was no verification, low credit scores, sometimes even no income. And that created a massive subprime loan crisis, right? So whenever you hear about the subprime loans, well, that's exactly what we're talking about. If you allow people to take on debt that you know that they can't pay back because they don't have the appropriate income, they don't have the appropriate savings, and they don't have a good credit history, well, that is a magic elixir for a disaster. And that's exactly what happened during the 2008 financial crisis. We had so many subprime loans out there that were actually packaged and collateralized to look like good investments that were then resold to other banks. Those were the toxic derivative assets that were out there. What a nightmare. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. Hey, Daryl, so subprime loans caused the credit crisis of 2008. Yeah. All right, let's head back out to the street level, my friends. It's nice and air conditioned in here. Isn't it nice? I love Grand Central Station. I know I say this all the time, but I'll say it again, just because we do have a lot of people here. Right here to the right, you're going to see the Campbell Bar, or the Campbell Apartments. This is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, one of the best places to take clients. So if you're working on a big deal, and you're looking to impress a client or something like that, I would take them right here. The Campbell Bar, or it's called the Campbell Apartment. It's at 15 Vanderbilt Avenue. It's gorgeous inside here. It's very expensive, but I think it is worth it. So if you're looking to close a deal, that's my little tip to you. Check out the Campbell Bar or the Campbell Apartment at Grand Central Terminal. Now, we talked a little bit about Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan Chase tonight. This is actually going to be his brand new office tower right here. This is 270 Park Avenue, and it is almost complete. It looks great. And that is going to be the new headquarters of JP Morgan Chase. You're seeing a massive consolidation in the city. You're seeing a big flight away from these older Class B and Class C office towers, and you're seeing a big flight to quality. You're seeing companies go to the brand new buildings, right? 270 Park is a good example. Also 425 Park Avenue is a really good example. You should check that out. And the Hudson Yards, all of the Hudson Yards is a great example. But here's an interesting fact, and I believe we talked about this before as well. The businesses that are leaving their older Class B office space and going to the more modern and new Class A office space, they're actually opting for less square footage. So for example, they're downsizing, but into better and newer locations to entice employees to come back to work. Because it's mainly a hybrid work environment, right? This is the Yale Club. Unfortunately, you have all this nasty scaffolding up. It's pretty much par for the course for New York City to have everything have scaffolding all over it. But anyway, as you have people working in a hybrid position, you need less square footage. So companies are going towards nicer office buildings, but they're signing leases on a lot less square footage. Maybe we'll go to the Hudson Yards tomorrow. Hey, Lifted CS is rotating hybrid schedules allow them to utilize smaller space. Great point, fantastic point. And you're 100% correct. I mean, think about it. How are you going to persuade your employees to come back to a 1980s style cubicle with like cigarette stains all over the walls? It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I'll come back to One Vanderbilt if I'm going to work in One Vanderbilt. I'll come back to 270 Park Avenue. I'll come back to the Hudson Yards because that's an experience. That's like an actual humane office situation. Hey, Cindy Foley is here. What's up? Now, another thing that we've been talking about on Walks in Wall Street is the migrant crisis that we have going on. It's projected to cost the city about $12 billion by 2025. That is more money than that we spend on the FDNY, the NYPD, and the sanitation combined. This is the Roosevelt Hotel that sits just adjacent Grand Central Terminal. Now, this hotel is completely closed down and out of business, but this is actually being used to house many of the migrants. Now, things have gotten a little bit better and they've started to clean things up, but just a couple weeks ago, all where you see these barricades, people were lined up, sleeping on the streets. The conditions were so horrible. But at least it's a step in the right direction. They've gotten people up off the street, back into the hotel, and actually sheltering these people. So that's good news. I'm actually glad we walked here just to see the before and after. And speaking of Jamie Dimon, it's gotten so bad that big mega bank Wall Street CEOs like Jamie Dimon, like Larry Fink of BlackRock, has actually written personal letters to the Biden administration to persuade them to step in and help and provide more funding for the problem. So you have Larry Fink's BlackRock, you have JP Morgan Chase, and many others voicing their opinion on this crisis. We'll cross the street and then we'll head back to 6th Avenue. Looks like they're just starting to put the glass all on the facade of 270 Park. Big traffic jam on Park Avenue. Look at that. This is the Hemsley building, another very famous building in New York. So again, this is the Roosevelt Hotel, as you can see. And then that is One Vanderbilt. Hey, Dusty Cole says, Tommy, you feeling better? I am, and thank you for asking, by the way. I'm feeling better. I'm almost 100%. I appreciate the concern, Dusty. Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling strong. I mean, that's the important thing. I was feeling a little bit weak when I had the big C, but I'm feeling good. So thank you, man. Now, this is another thing that the NYPD has been very vocal about. You have a major influx of all of these unregistered and unlicensed Vespas and scooters, and they line all of the migrant shelters here and all up and down 34th Street near Penn Station and in Times Square. But, just reporting on this, because it is going to have a big fiscal impact, and the reason why we're talking about it is, if you think about what we just talked about a second ago, real estate, right? The movement away from Class B and Class C office to Class A office towers. Well, that means vacancy rates in the city are going to be very, very high for these office towers. That means valuations are going to drop, and that means property taxes are going to drop. And one of the main ways the city gets its funding is through property taxes. So if property taxes are lower, well, guess what? That means less revenue for the city, just at a time when not valuations, but expenses are exploding, right? This migrant crisis is going to cost $12 billion when all is said and done by 2025, at a time when our tax rent rolls and rates are going down. So it's definitely something worth paying attention to, particularly if you are a residential property owner in New York, or if you work in New York, right? Because chances are, whenever a government is running a tax, doesn't have enough tax income to cover their expenses, they don't look to cut expenses, okay? They never do that. They look where they can grab more tax money. And you're already starting to see this with congestion pricing. The cameras already went up at 60th Street. So I think this is something that's important to keep on the forefront if you're an investor in and around the city. All right, one more shot of the Roosevelt Hotel and One Vanderbilt, and then we will head back to 6th Avenue. Hey, AUS Fly Girl is here, Atomic Punk NYC. Hey, my good friend Carol H. Carol, welcome. Carol, I have a quick update. You see this building, 432 Park, all the way in the distance? One of the most expensive units, I think, just went under contract today. For $70 million, I believe. So the person who bought it originally paid just under $100 million. And I think it went under contract today. I could be mistaken. I think I saw this for about $70 million. So it took a little bit of a loss there. But again, as we talk about Billionaires Row, usually these are used as piggy banks in the sky, if you will, as well as trophy apartment pieces. This is a good shot at 270 Park. Hey, Hang with Mark Mom says those bikes aren't cheap, Tom. How do the migrants get them? I honestly have no idea. I have no idea. Now, I have a bike similar to that in Miami. They're actually really, really nice and convenient to get around on. But I have mine registered, right? It's registered with the state of Florida. I, pay for the registration. Every time I see those scooters in New York, there's no license plates on them. And that's dangerous. And the reason why I say that is because God forbid one of those scooters hits somebody, they're not insured. They're obviously not insured. Now, are some of them insured? Okay, probably. But, let's just call a spade a spade. There's no insurance on those things. So if they hit somebody's car, something like that, you're just going to have to pay for it yourself out of your pocket. So I think it's a problem that needs to be addressed. We'll see. And you can't give them a parking ticket because there's no license plate. Who are you going to give the ticket to? So, all right, East 48th Street. This is a great shot of 432 Park. We'll walk over one more and then we'll head back in. I notice as we're heading towards Central Park, the temperature feels like it's dropping a little bit. Maybe that's just because it's getting later at night. Hey, Brian Forrest, what's up? Good to see you. Oops, sorry about that. No, it's okay. Don't worry. Too bad. John, welcome. Now we're coming up on the New York Palace here. We'll cross the street, we'll take a look at it. You'll see the Eden Fine Art Gallery. I'm really optimistic though on the future of Park Avenue. There's going to be so many different buildings that are going to change the entire outlook of the New York City skyline. It's going to be amazing.
Never relax.
Now this is the back end of St. Patrick's Cathedral. And right behind it is the Olympic Tower, which is actually one of the first condominiums, luxury condominiums in New York City. Because you got to understand something about, I would say, the history of residential real estate in Manhattan. And back in the day, it really wasn't actually desirable to live in high-rise towers in Midtown Manhattan. If you had any money in New York, you know, the old original New York money, that was actually on the Upper East Side and Upper West Side of Manhattan. Nobody really wanted to live in Midtown. That's where you would work. So a lot of the desirable real estate was in a lot of the cooperatives on the Upper East Side. Now, that really all changed due to foreign buyers. Now, why did it change due to foreign buyers? Well, for those non-New Yorkers that may not be familiar with cooperatives or co-ops, a co-op board has the right to deny you of purchasing a unit in the building for any reason. They don't have to tell you the reason. Even if you have $2 million cash and the apartment costs $2 million, and you make an offer and you say, hey, your apartment costs $2 million. I have $2 million cash. I want to give you the $2 million. They still have the right to deny you from purchasing that piece of property for any reason, and I don't have to tell you why. So a lot of foreign buyers that wanted to purchase on the Upper East Side in a lot of these co-ops, well, back in the day, they were being denied and blocked out of all of those buildings because they didn't want foreigners in them. So developers noticed this and they tried to capitalize. So they started to build these luxury condominiums in Midtown Manhattan. One of the first ones that set off this big trend is right here. We're about to make a left. We'll take a look at it. It is called the Olympic Tower. And there was actually a lot of buyers from Latin America in here. And over time, as demographics changed and as needs and as wants changed, you started to see the shift, and it's really happened in a big way, from people wanting to live in those older style co-ops on the Upper East Side to wanting to live in a condo with all of these amenities. Particularly, I'll just name a couple that were almost complete sellouts. If you think about 130 William, that is an ultra luxury condominium in Lower Manhattan. It has a saltwater swimming pool, it has a basketball court, it has a gym, it has a dog spa, it has a huge cabana on the roof. It has all of these things that a lot of these older co-ops don't have. And the younger generation, particularly the millennials and people that are buying real estate from abroad, they actually want all those things now. So if you look at the New York City real estate market, what you'll notice is that co-ops are trading at a steep discount to some of the condominium counterparts. So if you're looking for a deal in the city and you don't need the gyms, You don't need the swimming pools. You don't need the concierge 24/7 and all these different amenities. And you just want a decent place to live in a quiet neighborhood, I would check out Sutton Place. You could actually get a decent 2-bedroom apartment. It's going to be in an older building, obviously, but you get a better bang for your buck for the square footage, in my opinion, if you don't need all those amenities. So check this out. If you go to StreetEasy or Zillow, I want you guys to type this address in. It's called 641 Fifth Avenue. It's Olympic Tower. Now, in my opinion, this building has some of the greatest views of all of Midtown Manhattan and Lower Manhattan. And here's the reason why. It's conveniently located right next to St. Patrick's Cathedral. And St. Patrick's Cathedral will be here for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It's never going to be taken down. It's never going away. And it's relatively low to the ground. So if you have any condo or any unit at Olympia Tower at 641 Fifth Avenue, chances are you're by default going to have unobstructed views of the Empire State Building, One Vanderbilt, the World Trade Center, and the Chrysler Building, just because of how low the St. Patrick's Cathedral sits to the ground. Not a lot of people know that, but it's true. Yo, Manny Explores, what's up, dude? Very good to see you here. Hopefully you had a good summer. Manny Explores is our fellow streamer in NYC. Good to see you as always, my friend. Thanks for being here. AUS Fly Girls is better airspace. Hey, Mike New York says thank you. Good to see you. All right, let me check the battery here. Looks like we're good. Hey, Western Mass Dave. Good to see you, Dave. Looks like they're doing some work on the side of Saks Fifth Avenue here. But if you are all enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these streams starting at 8:30 p.m. So if you're new here, feel free to subscribe and join us tomorrow as well. Right here sits Saks Fifth Avenue. And in my opinion, if you're ever in New York City for the holidays, by far, Saks Fifth Avenue has the best holiday display on record. It's sort of like a little light show in and of itself. We'll probably be streaming past this a lot this winter. So if you're unfortunately unable to make it to New York City, just check back on the channel periodically and we'll probably maybe have a standalone video of the lights, Christmas lights, right here at Saks Fifth Avenue. Hey, Roxanne Williams, what's up? Good to see you. This is Rockefeller Center, 30 Rock. Hey, Robert, what's up? Yeah, someone says Christmas starts in September now. Do you guys want to know the most egregious thing I've ever seen in my life? One of my buddies sent me a photo from a Costco in Florida. It may have been a Costco or a BJ's, I forget. But they already have Christmas trees available for purchase in Costco. I think that should be a felony. That's horrible. It's only August. You're totally skipping over Halloween. You're totally skipping over Thanksgiving. And you're jumping right to Christmas already. I think that's ridiculous. Now, this is the roller skating rink here at 30 Rock, which looks great. Hey, JM is here. What's up? Brad's Brains. Tom, living in Houston now. I'm gonna need you to do some cold, snowy winter streams. Well, hopefully it won't snow at all this year. I can't stand the snow. But listen, I mean, last year during Christmas, it was one of the coldest Christmases we've ever had in New York. It was negative temperatures in New York. It was horrible. It was horrible. Patriots NFL once, as there was Halloween stuff in the CVS. Yeah, it seems like corporate America and corporate capitalism is trying to maximize profits by starting the holidays a little bit earlier every single year. Now, I went to the Starbucks today to get a cup of coffee with a client, and they're already having, oh, what is this? Oh, this looks like it's racquetball. There's like a little racquetball court set up here. They always got something cool going on here. But anyway, yeah, I mean, all of like Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, they already have like the fall themed drinks out. Username, schmoosernames, is it pickleball? No, I think it's called racket. I don't know, it says it right here, racket, but Jesus. Now, I think I told you guys about this. I'm working on a very big deal in Sarasota, Florida. I'm really excited about it. And the whole community is really based around pickleball. So the developer, it's like a community, and it's very close to Siesta Key in Sarasota, Florida. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with Siesta Key. Very, very beautiful. It's one of the best beaches in the entire United States, and it's one of the best beaches in the entire world too, by the way. But the developer, I think it's going to be about 120 units, and it's themed as a racket club. And phase 1 is already sold out. Hopefully, we will get the tap on the shoulder to do phase 2 and phase 3. I would love to close that deal so I could spend the winter in Sarasota selling out that complex. I think we could get some cool video there too. But yeah, they're installing, I think, over 15 racquetball and tennis courts. It's kind of cool. It's crazy how that game has exploded. I've never played it once, that pickleball thing, but apparently a ton of people like it. It's all over Manhattan. I think there's courts in Central Park too. Has anybody in the chat played pickleball at all? I've never played it, but so many people play it. It's crazy. Brad's Brains says, do you bid the developments? Yeah, so essentially what we'll do is we're competing against other sales teams, right? So we're competing against like a Corcoran Sunshine, we're competing against Serhant, we're competing against everybody, really. And we build the pitch deck, we build the marketing strategy, and we present that to the development team. Sort of why us, right? And most times it's due to the connections you have. The bigger the network of buyers in your network, the better. But yeah, I think we'll get it. I feel pretty confident about it. We've been in back-to-back meetings with the developer over the last month or so, and it looks good. It's looking good. So hopefully we will be in Sarasota this winter. We'll see. Oh, this is the US Open. US Open is in New York. These are all the official vehicles. I think they're bringing back the players, maybe to their hotels and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of what hotel would be this way. Oh, the New York Palace that we actually just walked past it. So they're probably taking some of the US Open players back to the New York Palace. Very, very cool. All right, this is Radio City Music Hall. We finally made it. Hey, RK8, good to see you. Phil's pickleball is great for old tennis and racquetball players who can't run as much. I mean, it looks fun. Definitely does look fun, but I always love this shot of the American flags here. If we go over towards Nürburgring Berman a little bit, if we go over towards the Nürburgring Berman and we turn around, it's actually a little bit of a better view. You see all of the American flags waving in front of Radio City Music Hall. Looks great.
You know, maybe.
Oh, look, it looks like they're putting JP Morgan Chase in here. Hey, Carol H. says, I've never played, but many people play pickleball. At the beach in Puerto Rico, they set up the courts in the sand. Wow, very cool. It's a huge craze here, and in Miami too. I'm not sure if you're still in Miami, Carol, but there's tons of pickleball going on in Miami as well. So this is the Nürburgring Berman. Very big asset manager here. And we're also right across the street from the UBS. Now, Friday is the first business day of the month, if you can believe that. And that means we are going to get the manufacturing numbers in the United States. So the ISM, the Institute for Supply Management, PMI numbers will be dropping on Friday, September 1st. And that's one of our preferred leading economic indicators. So we'll probably use the entire stream on Friday to talk about that and to cover that. We have just gotten some really, really poor economic data out of China, obviously with the Evergrande collapse, which I think is going to be very, very cataclysmic to a lot of hardworking Chinese people. You know, if you really look into it and you dig into it, there's so many people in China, and I'll quickly show you 53 West 53rd, but there's so many people in China that have purchased and already have put their deposits down for their homes. Now the problem is those condos are probably never going to be built. And there was this almost like euphoric rise to put these deposits on these apartments and these buildings that weren't even complete yet. And now that Evergrande is gone kaput, my fear is that a lot of people are going to get hurt and lose their deposits. It could be a very, very widespread thing. And in China, many people have put their entire life savings on the line for this. So there could be some severe systemic repercussions and ramifications here. Hey, Carol H says, yes, I'm in Miami. I just moved here in June. I've seen people in Miami Beach playing it too the last time I went. Carol, I'm so jealous, but I'm so happy for you. You're gonna love Miami. You've probably spent more time there than I have, but I love it. I wish I could spend more time there too, but congratulations on your new place. You'll have to send me an email, let me know where you are in proximity to where I am in North Miami Beach. That's awesome. Here's another great shot of 432 Park Avenue. Someone says China giving stimulus to mortgage the last time was 2008 when they did that. Well, they're probably gonna go on a big bond buying binge and a stock buying binge. I think they've already authorized some banks to just go out and buy stocks just to put a bid under the market. This is the Steinway Tower, which is one of the tallest residential apartments in the entire world. Oh, now speaking of apartments, I got a little bit of an update for all of you. Now, yesterday we were walking past 139 East 23rd Street. The building is called Gramercy North. Now, my first listing ever is in that building. It's unit number 2. And I filmed a video showing you guys an exclusive tour of that listing. I think it's a pretty cool space. It looks like it's going to go into contract pretty soon here. So some good news, we got a very solid offer on the unit, and I've been doing some negotiations with the sponsor, and they've accepted the offer, which is crazy. I mean, we just put this thing on the market less than 30 days ago. So it's not a done deal yet, but it looks like it will go into contract probably within the next couple days here, and pending diligence and pending closing, it looks like that'll be my first sale right there at 139 East 23rd Street, Unit 2. Final sales price, $2.4 million. All cash deal. Hopefully it'll be very smooth. I'll keep you guys up to date on that. And I thank you a lot, because when you guys watch those property tours and watch those videos and watch Walks in Wall Street, it really does a big deal to get the name out and to get the word out of a lot of these listings. So I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. And hopefully we close many more deals in the future. And I'll be able to bring you guys in on those deals and show you the interior for those. If you want to see what it looks like, if you haven't seen it already, if you type !23 in the chat, you'll be able to see a video of the listing. But you know what? My battery is going to die any second now, guys. So I think I'm going to leave the stream off right here. We will be back live tomorrow from Tribeca, hopefully. And I wish you guys a very happy Thursday. If you enjoyed the video tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And we will see you all right back here live from New York City tomorrow at 8:30. So Richard Vogel, thank you so much. Optimus 17, Otto, I appreciate it. True Tech, thank you so much. Brad's Brain, Austin City Limits, Abdullah, Hawaii, Michael Joseph, Nina, Steph UF, Madison 32, Sam, thank you for joining us. Abdullah, Muhammad, JM, MBA Elias, Austin City Limits, Carol H, congratulations on your new place in Miami. Hang with Mark Mom and all the others that I missed. There's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night on Walks in Wall Street at 8:30. Take care.